Did somebody say crime wave? I'm Jessica Denson, and this is Lights On. What a better way for Donald Trump to end his week of collapsing criminal defense than to accept the endorsement of two gang members who are currently on bond after a 140-count indictment, including murder and more than a dozen shootings. This is becoming cliche at this point, but the party of law and order, the man who leads them, have become nothing short of a crime syndicate. It makes sense that someone seeking a lifetime of criminal impunity would try to keep the truth hidden from the public. It's what he's on trial for now in New York, and it's what he did for decades with illegal non-disclosure agreements, hundreds of which I had voided in a court of law so that they could no longer factor into his criminal impunity plan. This week, ProPublica did an expose featuring my years-long battle against silence, in particular, the scorched earth terrorism Trump unleashes against critics as he claims that his free speech rights are under attack. It is a truly sick thing to behold. And let's just be very blunt. Donald Trump is not against crime. He's not for free speech. He is for mob rule that punishes justice seekers and lets criminals off the hook. Many of us understand this, but not enough. My guest today certainly does. He knows all about Trump's twisted criminal enterprise. Donald Trump, the pathetic enablers from politicians to our highest court that surround him, and the stakes we are facing. We are live, as you see and know, and we're even going to take your questions live today. We always have fun, not in spite of technical difficulties. Last time we had a fire alarm when we had my guest today, the one and only Lev Parnas. Lev, thanks for your patience. Welcome back to Lights On. Oh, we got to unmute Lev.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jessica. It's always a blast to be on your show. You never know what to expect.
Yeah, for sure.
But
people have no idea. Like, we are so real here. Like, we don't have a lot of bells and whistles, but we always keep the lights on. We keep it real. We bring it to you.
And listen, I think that's more important than anything. Keeping it real. We're live, and it's what it's all about. I want to congratulate you. A great article in ProPublica. So I mean, I just reading it and seeing, the tactics, it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, knowing Donald Trump and knowing exactly the capabilities this man has and to what extent he'll go as far as trying to hurt or cause revenge or mayhem. And it doesn't surprise me that he had those two gang members up in the Bronx to, endorse him. I mean, that's just insane. But what does surprise me and what really ticked me off today is Nikki Haley. I mean, I could not believe that, what? I really did give her a certain credit when she was running against them, with all of them, and she really surprised me. I mean, I understand she's a Republican, and I don't expect her to come out and maybe endorse Biden. Okay, I got it. But to come out after everything you said on your campaign, after the dirt he unleashed on you, the way he tried to go after you, your husband, your family, you, yourself, and for you to now bow down and say you're going to vote for him, I think that was despicable. And I think people like Nikki Haley are the prime example of why Donald Trump is still around and why Donald Trump is capable of doing what he is because of these enablers. I don't get it. I don't understand what it takes for people like Nikki Haley to all of a sudden, bow down. And I mean, it's incredible, Jessica. I was really so shocked with that one, but I mean, lots of things going on with the court hearings. I mean, let's get into it.
Absolutely, yeah. I had forgotten about him going after Nikki Haley's husband, who's of course in the service, but she is such a soulless political hack. I got to be honest with you, Lev. It doesn't surprise me. Like, I knew this. I know what this woman is after, and it's so disgusting, and it's so that calculus, that spineless, craven desire for power that will allow them to excuse anything is what has us in this dilemma. Absolutely disgusting. But
sick. I agree with you.
Sick.
Don't forget also with the news. Remember what happened? Rudy Giuliani got arraigned in Arizona.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna get to
so
all of that.
We can't forget about Rudy.
We're not gonna forget about Rudy. I might even, you tell me what you think later. I might even play his coffee ad just because it's so humiliating.
Oh yes, let's do it.
But I want to start off with this this insane rally in the Bronx. We have a couple clips.
Yeah.
Maybe we can play one of them right now.
Xi of China, when you see Kim Jong-un of North Korea, when you see Putin, and you see all of these people, they're at the top of their game, whether you like it or not, and they can't believe that this has happened to the United States.
Well, there's him. Yeah, of course. You know, his call out to his best friend dictators as usual.
But he does. I mean, he calls out Putin by name, Putin,
Yes.
and on top of his game. I mean,
Yes.
he can't make this stuff up, guys. I
And
mean,
of
we're
course-
living in a part of crazy history right now. I can tell you this. I mean, later on, history will be written about this, and people won't believe that this actually happened. The craziness. I mean, you just can't make it up.
You can't make it up. And if there's anybody watching who does not yet know who Lev Parnas is, of course, Lev Parnas is this wonderful person who has come clean after having been part of Donald Trump's inner circle, being involved in the impeachment these efforts to smear Hunter Biden through really, I think, what amounts to blackmail and just trying to give Donald Trump an edge in the election, like he is always trying to do, not start any kind of legitimate prosecution. But you were at the heart of this. You know, I was thinking about you this week, Lev, and we've got your book up on the screen, Shadow Diplomacy, which I highly recommend. And I told Lev yesterday, I'm like so underwater right now. I haven't gotten to read it, but I read some of the reviews, and the reviews are like, I can't put this book down. So I'm looking very forward to some good summer reading there. But, you know, you were at the heart of their pressure campaign to silence you when you were arrested. You were, of course, a fall guy. Instead of Donald Trump being arrested, you and Igor Fruman. And I know Bob Costello was in the circle. He surfaced at the Trump trial this week, massively backfiring, really pissing off Judge Juan Merchan. But give me some insight into what you remember about Bob Costello and the pressure campaign to keep the mob circle intact.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember like it was yesterday. I actually remember I was staying actually at the Lowe's Hotel, and I was walking out, and I saw Michael Cohen sitting at that time with Al Sharpton. And I was going to meet Rudy at the time, and when I told him, I said I just saw Michael with Al. He called the White House, and that's when like everybody really started panicking about like that Michael flipped sides, and you know things were going, you know that he might be flipping completely. I remember Rudy panicking and going crazy, calling Costello, having several conversations with Costello, and trying to figure out, how to, keep Michael quiet, keep him on a team. But at the same time, the crazy part is remembering watching, it was all fake because the hatred that Giuliani had towards Michael Cohen, I can't even explain to you. Like he hated him with a passion, but he would, talk about putting together, ways of, trying to make sure that, get dirt on Michael. I remember him having me try to call anybody I knew that might find out if Michael was having an affair or he had some mistress or something, because he had some lead that was telling him that, Michael was having an affair and they wanted to leak that. I remember him having me Google all kinds of articles about Michael Cohen, doing all kinds of op work on that. So yeah, it was a crazy time.
What was it like to have? So you said Rudy Giuliani hated Michael Cohen, huh?
Hated him.
Hated him
with the back. Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is something that not enough people understand. Even the reporter that put out the ProPublica piece, she's like, these guys are at war with themselves, because another thing that comes out in that article, which I'll talk more about, is how Trump's lawyers just withdrew from my case and another case, a case that they've been on for years. Literally, what are we going on, 6 years now? And they withdrew, and right before they withdrew in my case and another case, they cited irreconcilable differences. Like, people need to understand that the whole Trump orbit, though they may sometimes come out with a united front, is friggin' at war with themselves. Always.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just take a look at Marjorie Greene. I call her Moscow Marge, attacking everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. She just attacks everybody. You got Matt Gaetz going against each other. You got nobody in Trump's world there's no loyalty there. use that as a way to convince the public and use that as a way to try to raise money. But nobody likes each other. Like and Rudy hated, I mean, I can't say hate, maybe that's too strong of a word, but definitely did not like Roger Stone, didn't like Bannon, and now you see him and Bannon on TV all the time, like they're buddies. Like, none of these people really are on the same team. They all are out for themselves and trying to be the head guy. It's all about a power struggle internally, even in Trump world, to be who could be the closest to Trump or who could have that edge. And Jessica, you know how they play each other and how they go after each other and how they set each other up, leak to the press about each other. I mean, nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely. And these, you're talking about leaking to the press, like these false allegations of me leaking things to the press were brought out during I was terrorized during the campaign. This article this week was about all of the terrorism that came after I sued them. It's like, you've been terrorized one time, you try to get your life back, you try to warn the country when you've woken up, and you get terrorized all over again. What does this come down to when you have people, Lev, that are in it for themselves? That's
the problem. That's the problem. All the enablers, and I keep telling everybody, because without them, Donald Trump is nobody. He doesn't go too far, and that mega cult doesn't get that big. But when you have all of these politicians that are out there on TV spreading the word, using mass media, to be able to social media, regular media, and to be able to go spread lies, just blatant lies. Yes. The average person can't believe that. The average person sees all of this and says, "Well, everybody can't be lying. Everybody can't be wrong." There has to be, if there's so much smoke, there has to be fire. And that's what they're doing. I mean, it's not about fixing anything. It's not about I think he's the very first president that doesn't talk about uniting this country. I mean, I think every president, that came out in their speech or somewhere talks about, I'm the president for everybody. This is the only guy that walks out there and talks about destroying half the country and going after half the country and embarrassing, insulting half the country, if not more than half the country. Sometimes he even insults his own people. If you really look at him and listen to what he says, I mean, he just goes off the rails. So it's just crazy to see, and to see, his popularity the way it is. And again, it's because of the lies. It's easier to tell a lie. It's easier to believe a lie. And it's harder to undo a lie. And that's the whole method in Trump world. And, we were part of that when we were pushing the Biden information, because once you put it out there, once a person saw it, it's so difficult to get that image out of that person's mind. First of all, if a person saw it on TV, what is the chances that he's going to see your explanation to that? You know what I mean? Right. Once he saw it. Right. So that's why, with all of the interference that was going on and that I think will be going on in these elections, especially with this technology, AI now, Gronk, where you're now able to use voices and pictures of people and videos. I mean, it's scary. It's scary to think about to what extent and lengths these people will go to be able to try to win this election. And remember, everything they say about you, they're the ones that are doing it. So if they were saying you leaked it, they were leaking it. So if they're saying they're worried about people cheating in their elections on the Democrat side, it's because they're getting ready to cheat on their side. I mean, it's just blatantly in the open.
Yeah, constant projection. Before we leave the topic of the Trump rally, I want to go back to it for a minute, because you're talking about what the average person sees, what the average person understands. They constantly hear, if they're listening to Fox News or anything like it, they're constantly hearing there's a Biden crime wave. Never mind that crime is down in the country generally, especially in blue cities. I remember just from this week when DA Fani, Fulton District Attorney Fani Willis won her Democratic primary. She bragged about how much crime has come down in Fulton County.
Absolutely.
Blue cities are making progress. There are less crossings at the border. You won't hear about any of this on Fox News, but yet you have the leader of this mantra, this criminal himself, out there partnering, getting the endorsement of violent criminals.
That's crazy. Insane. Insane.
Can we show just?
And the only reason, and the sad part, and this is really sad, and because I grew up in Coney Island in Brooklyn, and I have friends and family that are black, Spanish, all different kinds of races and color. And I know that Trump is using these people. Like for him, he would never stand next to any one of these guys. He despises us, but he's doing it because they're black and because he's trying to get the black vote. That's all he's doing. And that's crazy that they're even allowing themselves to be used because they,
It's really sad.
they don't like, what I'm saying to you, it's sad to, if you really, really take a look at what's going on, it's crazy. It's really crazy and really is sad. But
It
yeah,
is really sad. I have
Trump
more
is-
thoughts on that, and I want to talk more about that with you. This whole like diversity play, but
Yeah.
let's just play this quick clip.
Oh, I like that. I want to get that done.
President Trump.
Say
Oh
something,
man.
please.
One thing I want to say. One thing I want to say. They always gonna whisper your accomplishments and shout your failures. Trump gonna shout the wins for all of us. Make America great again.
Thank you, Carlos.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. That's where I like those teeth. I want to find out where you did. I got to get my teeth like that.
Law and Order. That's Chef G and Sleepy Hollow of the 8 Tray Crips and 9 Ways gangs. There you go.
But Jessica, what people don't understand is if you look at, what do you think if Joe Biden would offer any of these guys to come up there and shake their hand, they would be up there in a heartbeat on their knees doing the same thing. I mean, are you kidding me? This is,
It's a platform.
I mean, what? This is like insanity. I mean, it's just nobody would ever call them or allow them a million feet next to the president of the United States. And this is, I mean, where's the Secret Service? That's what I'm saying to you. Where's the vetting? You're telling me I mean, these are indicted. They're currently indicted and going on trial for, I mean, murder, conspiracy. I think I really don't know too much about these guys, but I mean, you could read about it. It's insane. They're currently out on $1.5 million cash bond. And they're there. I mean, just think about it. Donald Trump and
alleged. Yeah, I was just going to say
Yeah,
that these guys rewarded gang members who carried out shootings at their direction with cash jewelry and had them appear in music videos. So, it's kind of like Donald Trump. He does, people do criming for him and he brings them up on stage.
Jessica, what the really crazy part about this? So here you got Donald Trump, Secret Service allowing these guys next to him. Meanwhile, you had Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz in Congress not allow me to go in to testify because I had an ankle bracelet. Because I was the worst of the because just think about it. But these guys are okay. Matt Gaetz goes out in front of the public, talks about how we're liars, how we're all this bad, but it's okay. I mean, it's despicable. I mean, I don't know how the media allows them to get away with it. How is this not front page of every news cycle? How is this not being reported?
We're the media and we're reporting
it. Yeah, but think about it. Just like this, just think about it. If Joe Biden today came out with a Crip or a Blood or Trey member and stood out there and shook his hand, can you imagine? Forget about Joe Biden. If you or I did that, to think about what if any. I mean, and you have the candidate for the president of the United States standing there in front of the whole world, is shaking and making jokes about their teeth, thanking them for their support. Are you kidding me? I mean, I just don't understand. The sad part, Jessica, is where's the morality in American people? I mean, have we given up completely? Like how I talk to people, I say, how do you look your kids in the face and say, this is who our president is. I want you to be. Usually we tell our kids we want you to become president. That's the holy grail, the most, winning the lottery. If your son or daughter could become the president of the United States. I mean, this is I would never tell any of my kids to look up to him. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just, the guy is a comedian. He goes up and people talk about rallies. Oh yeah, Joe Biden because Joe Biden is not a comedian. Joe Biden is not he's not an entertainer, right? That's why he draws these crowds. People come from all over because they were going to hear that you don't know what's going to come out of this guy's mouth. You know what I'm saying to you? You're watching a live show, and anything could go down. So it's not because they love him and support him. It's because it's a comment. It's great. They get drunk and they're laughing because you don't hear you're not talking about policy.
Entertainment.
You're not you're not talking about changing the world. You're talking about insulting people, fighting, killing, hurting.
Yeah. And I think that
mean,
what you're talking about ties right into like the sick appeal to people of color in New York City or anywhere in the country. And this is, Lev, this is something people need to understand. Like, so many people think, oh, Trump supporters are just like white people from the South. No, like, you don't understand that this machismo, this toxic masculinity, this entertainment, that factor that you're pointing out appeals to people of all cultures. It appeals to a lot of people in the Black community, a lot of people in the Hispanic community. I saw so much of this. I mean, this was one of the things that actually validated my support for him in 2016. Like, I was in New York. My father's from Ecuador. I had a lot of friends even in the film industry that I was working in that were like Puerto Rican, Dominican, who supported him, who were like, yeah, this guy is right. Like, seeing that diverse support for him, sadly, tragically validated my own support from him. And it's not huge. I mean, I don't think we have to worry about massive numbers, but we do have to worry about that appeal. And that appeal is there. And it's not just among whites as much as we would like to believe that it is.
Oh no, it's in the Blacks, the Chinese, it's every culture. It doesn't matter.
No,
and the reason why, because the biggest thing where Trump taps into these cultures is because all of us that grew up in the inner city, doesn't matter what color we are, but grew up maybe less fortunate, and then all of us know somebody or had a problem with the law and could relate to being arrested, being, prosecuted, being unfairly just, especially in the Black or Puerto Rican or the Spanish communities. It's even more because of the way they've been mistreated. So with Trump going through what they could relate to him, he's like one of them. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? He's a criminal. Like, they're indicted, he's indicted, it's us against the world. And that's the crazy part, that this is who he attracts and he brings into the fold and allows not only like to bring him to get their votes, but he brings him into the fold. These are the type of people that will be running the cabinet if he gets elected. These are some of your ambassadors all over the country that he's going to put in place. Donald Trump has learned the only people that are coming close to him are going out there, they're going to be loyal, and the only people that are loyal are going to be people that have criminal intent, let's say, to try to put it in a modern way, people that have very eager ambitions, because nobody with any common sense is going to come next to him with a 10-foot pole. So I mean,
it's really a sick play. It's a sick play on these disenfranchised communities that so often, young people get involved in crime instead of, and there is a 2-tier system. Like, these people are treated differently, yet Donald Trump is at the top of that tier. We're seeing it play out right now. The exceptions that he gets, not being in prison right now for the multiple violations, or jail, Rikers Island, whatever, for the multiple violations of his gag orders, his bond orders. I mean, he's on the top of that tier and gets treated like no other defendant would. Many of them have had their lives altered. And instead of having a role model who would say, here's how you can live to not be in this vicious cycle and improve yourselves and be better people, he's this sad, pathetic role model of a criminal getting away with crimes. I mean, it is sick.
And Jessica, as crazy as it sounds, because somebody that served time in prison, that understands their mentality and understands people from that world that served time or got in trouble with the law and everything, in a way, look up to Donald Trump, because he's beating the system. They're not looking at it that he's being treated differently than they were treated. They're looking at like somebody is kicking their ass, excuse me for my French, to somebody that he's doing it for all of us. Look at him, like he's doing what I dreamed of doing.
That. Oh man, he uses that.
He uses that like exactly. He comes out and says, "Look, I'll tell the judge that he's no good, that he's a corrupt, because you can't. Because if you would tell your judge that, you would be in prison. But I'm going to do it for all of us." This is what
I wish, Lev. I wish all these tough guys, these big, tough guys that are in prison who would realize what suckers they are for a man like Donald Trump. Like, really, you're going to let him use you as a shield like that? Like, grow some balls, be a man of your own.
I absolutely. And, but it's just crazy. And again, the problem is the media and the enablers, and that's why, we don't have any true news nowadays. It's all about opinionated. Everybody's trying to play both sides or one side or the other, and you don't really get the truth. And most people don't have the time to go research that, through the internet and try to find, because there's so much nonsense on the internet that you could go down a rabbit hole so quickly, so scary. And that's another thing. Like if you don't know what you're searching by accident, you could go down some crazy conspiracies. There's so many of them out there nowadays. It's insane. It's scary. So yeah, I mean, but looking back at this rally, the other sick part about it, Jessica, was the pictures of how they went from, there was 100,000 to 25,000. There was I mean, if you really take a look at it, because I had some friends that live in the Bronx, and I asked around, and I said, like, and somebody told me, I said, no, it was like, a crowded park day. Maybe,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe a couple
like
of thousand people.
Sean Spicer all over again. Like, we got the real,
right.
Just give us a little time to get the real images and know how few people actually showed up. Yeah.
Exactly. And again, listen, it is what it is. Still a lot of people. You still had a crowd, but it just shows that nothing is ever good. And if there was 100,000, they would say 1 million. Nothing is ever good enough. Everything has to be a lie. It has to be expanded. It has to be pushed to the top. Has to be to the biggest level. And basically, that's Donald J. Trump.
Absolutely. Wake up. Turn the lights on, folks. We have so much more. Turn the lights on. So much more. We're going to get to Rudy. We're going to get to more of that ProPublica piece, the terrorism, the authoritarian warnings that I have from my experience. We're going to get to questions. And actually, because Lev is so generous, he's actually taking a break from his son's graduation to be with us tonight. I told him, I said, there's no way Trump's going to his son's graduation and you're not going to your son's. So
thank you, Jessica.
Of course. So my idea today is actually to take your live questions on the other side of the break. So we make sure we get them in.
Perfect.
And we'll get to the rest of those topics right after this.
We're all operating at our highest levels all the time. Living a more heart-healthy life fuels everything you do. Introducing 3-in-1 Blood Pressure Support Plus COQ10 from Superbeats Heart Chews Advanced. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the grapeseed extract in Superbeats is clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. New Superbeats Heart Chews Advanced supports healthy COQ10 level, an important nutrient for heart health. Superbeats Heart Chews are incredibly delicious and much better than any alternate supplement out there in the market. Now, I take my Superbeats Heart Chews each morning, and it's really kickstarted my morning routine. And after taking my Superbeats Heart Chews, I feel like I have more energy and I'm ready to take on the day. COQ10 generates 95% of the cellular energy your heart needs, but it can decline with age, stress, and statin use. Superbeats Heart Chews Advanced is effective and contains clinically researched ingredients from Superbeats, the #1 doctor, pharmacist, and cardiologist recommended beet brand for cardiovascular health support. Find out how you can get free 30-day supply on bundles of new Superbeats Heart Chews Advanced and save 15% for a limited time only by going to superbeatsradio.com, promo code Jessica. That's super, BEETS, radio.com, promo code Jessica.
For me to think, but maybe burger, yeah.
Okay. So I just put an invite in the chat for everybody to type in your questions for Lev. I'd love to know what you want to ask him today with his insight, and also you're free to ask me any questions about that ProPublica article if you got a chance to read it. While we're waiting for them, why don't we play this Rudy Giuliani coffee ad?
Yeah, let's do it.
Rudy Giuliani's in some desperate straits right now. He owes a lot of money. He needs to make some cash.
You all know I stand by the truth. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference. by ordering today at rudy.coffee.
Hold up. Truth, justice, and American democracy? Did
The
Rudy
grift is
Giuliani
real.
really say that?
The grift is real. Like, I mean, he went from, I think he was selling pillows and he was selling, I think, slippers, gold. I think he was selling gold at one point, and now he's selling. I mean, look, the bottom line is people have to understand that the ending of that whole thing was the whole key to it. It's all about their movement. It's all about grifting and trying to get that dollar. It's not it doesn't matter if it's coffee, if it's slippers. They'll sell, my pillow guy. They'll sell whatever it is. Look at Trump. He's selling Bibles. I mean, just think about it. The guy went out there and has sold a Bible. Like, Rudy selling coffee, Trump selling Bibles. I mean, you got Mr. Pillow Guy selling everything he can already. He's going bankrupt. You know what I'm saying? It's just another way to grift. And unfortunately, these people, they're I hate to call them, but they're the suckers because, they're buying. I mean, I just saw a couple of days ago, Lara Trump selling the Trump black card. It's a metal black card, limited edition. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you talking about? It's not a credit card. It's not. It's just a Trump black card.
And plastic. It's a piece of plastic.
and they're selling. I mean, it's insane. It's and it runs in the family. I hear Melania is doing NFTs, and they're all just trying to maximize the grift. And Rudy. Look, Rudy, he got fired from ABC. He just got arraigned in the second in Arizona. So his clock is running quick. I mean, I think in the next 6 months, we're going to see a very, very, very heavy decline. Even though we're seeing it now, but if you really see who's around Rudy, there's nobody around Rudy. Trump has completely distanced himself from him. There's nobody from the mega world that's really around him. You have your, as they say, in Hollywood, you have your A star. Well, in mega world, you have your, A celebrities. Rudy has shifted down to his C level. You know what I mean? Where
I think he's on the D list at this point.
Maybe even the D list, and it's sad, yeah. But I think Rudy's next step is going to be, commercials, trying to, I remember, I wouldn't put it by Rudy that he'll try to do a podcast from prison.
Oh no, I wouldn't put it past him at all. But really, I mean, this is what you would think if people were taking in the seriousness of this whole picture that seems like such a clown show. It's that everybody that surrounds this man, and especially the ones that do the most for him, Michael Cohen, Rudy Giuliani, get humiliated and damaged the most. I mean, is there any better example for Trump supporters or would-be Trump voters out there that of what giving loyalty or support or endorsement to this man will get you? I mean, in the end.
Yeah, Jessica, the crazy part, I asked this question all along, show me one person besides what he did to, what's his name? Stone, and Bannon. Stone and Bannon, the two guys that probably have so much corruption and dirt with Trump. He gave them pardons. Even Manafort ended up doing 1.5 years before he got a pardon. He didn't take care of anybody. He didn't look. I mean, if you take a look, his Donald Trump, and I always say that, and people get surprised that now he's with more criminals and now he's with gang members. Donald Trump is a mobster. He's a wannabe mobster. Donald Trump runs the White House like a gangster, like a mafia boss, and that's why it's not surprising the way he acts to the Michael Cohens, me's, Rudy's of the world. Because when you're on top in that world, loyalty only goes up. It doesn't stream down. And you're supposed to take the hit for the boss. You're supposed to take the bullet for the boss. You're supposed to take the sentence for the boss. And you're supposed to do it with a smile and be happy about it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So it's the same mentality. So he expects that, yeah, Rudy, you're supposed to do whatever I need. And then when you have problems, go deal with them. Go deal with them. You know what I'm saying to you? He feels that he's giving, Trump feels that he's giving Rudy enough support by letting him use the mega grift, by continuing to grift, by doing these coffee ads and everything else, because he's still linked to Trump. Trump hasn't cut him off, so Rudy's still allowed to do the grift using the mega alignment to Trump, but I mean, just think about it. After everything they went through, Rudy and Trump.
Yeah,
I mean, it was Rudy's birthday. Was there even a happy birthday from Trump? I mean, Rudy
I know.
got a
Bannon
Rudy
and
got
Stone were there, I heard, I think.
well, his new friends. I mean, this is what I'm saying to you.
Exactly.
It's the new Three Amigos. It's the new Three Amigos. Bannon is incredible. I don't even know how he's out yet. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
he
I don't
lost his
either. I
appeal.
don't either. I thought that I know.
And we're talking about two-tier justice. If this was
Yes.
anybody else, you would be away that same day your appeal
Away.
ran out.
Absolutely not hosting a
So that's
podcast.
looking to
I
see
want to
what
go.
happens there.
Yeah, I want to go a little bit backwards in the questions I'm seeing, but the first one's a simple one, so I'll ask you that first. Somebody said, because you were convicted of a felony, can you vote?
No,
Oh my
can't
goodness.
vote. Yeah,
Oh,
that's great. They have
ouch.
to change those laws. But
Yes.
once I get off supervised release, I think I get my and I clear up the payments of some sort, then I think I'll be able to get my rights back. But there's a whole process.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, those laws definitely need to change. Okay, give us the 90-second version. I've heard this before, but give us the 90-second version of what got you into political circles in the first place.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump. No, I mean, I was even when I started messing around with Trump, it was all about business. I was trying to promote my real estate projects at the time, and then eventually turned to oil and gas. But what really got into it was my son Aaron. I mean, he was 16 years old, and he started getting more into. He went to college early, and at 16, and he started getting more into politics. And I figured it would be a way for us to be closer, and that's what drew me to Trump. Besides the business, and then I was never really involved, even when I was in Trump's world. It wasn't about policies or politics. It was that's the crazy part. It was never about what policy I believed in was wrong in Democrats, Republicans. It was basically, I got enrolled and enlisted into doing a special mission for the president of the United States, and that was what I was concentrating on at the time. I mean, yes, in the 4 years I heard so much and seen so much that had nothing to do with me, excuse me, personally, but my main goal was, I was, over a year involved in everything that you see that had to do with Hunter Biden. It was me and Rudy Giuliani were the beginning of it all.
All right, this one is another one that we've talked about before, but again, give us a 90-second version. What were you arrested for, and was it for the benefit of Trump?
Oh, absolutely. I was arrested. So the interesting part is I was arrested strictly for the benefit of Trump. It was all set up for Bill Barr. Bill Barr didn't want me to testify in front of Congress. He thought that by arresting me, shutting me up, sealing all the documents, I would become the perfect fall guy. And because remember, I got arrested right as the Trump impeachment started happening, and take away all the Trump involvement in the Ukraine mess. What Bill Barr wasn't aware of that Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani didn't care if I was arrested or not. They were going to continue to dig dirt and make up deal with Russian misinformation to dig up dirt on Joe Biden. So that's why his plan went awry a little bit. And, and because I kept talking, that's another thing that Bill Barr didn't expect. He thought that I was going to stay on the Trump train, keep quiet, and they would seal all the documents and everything would go away.
Yeah, they try to catch and kill with Lev, basically, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you just think about it. Even what by Bill Barr putting in special prosecutor to cover the Ukraine stuff. I mean, if you think about it, how could the special prosecutor not question me, not look at any of my evidence? I mean, the key person that was involved in all the Ukraine stuff that started it, that was the middleman to all of these other people, and you disregard everything, and instead you go listen to informant, and that that you could check very easily and see that he's lying to you, but you take that information. It was all about catch and kill and controlling the narrative, and that's why I think these elections are even more important than just the presidential. The congressional and Senate elections are extremely important, because if the Democrats do not win, the most important story gets lost of how Bill Barr and congressmen allowed Russian disinformation to be used to impeach a sitting president, and the corruption that they used to go all the way down the drain. And the only way this will get exposed is if we're able to win the House, and then we are able to hold proper hearings, not the sham circus that the Republicans are holding right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we held the House, if we didn't make some foolish decisions, and you know what, we got to bring this out too, Lev.
Yeah.
We got to bring out the slip ups of the Democrats, because
Oh, absolutely.
we had a ruling out of this absolutely abysmal Supreme Court this week that allowed racial gerrymandering in South Carolina. Actually, the woman that reported on my piece in ProPublica, her name's Marilyn Thompson. She did a very extensive piece I highly recommend, from a few months ago on Representative Clyburn, who I'm otherwise a big fan of, but apparently he was involved in some backroom deals to protect his own seat at the cost of other districts. Representative Clyburn's basically deal making with the Republican legislature in South Carolina may be the reason that we have Nancy Mace again. She won by a 1% margin in 2020. She won by a 14% margin in 2022 because more Black voters were moved into Clyburn's district to protect him and taken out of her district, the first district in South Carolina. It kind of reminded me, Lev, of what the Democrats did to screw themselves in New York State, which I think without which we would have had a House majority that could have avoided this circus that we're seeing now.
Absolutely.
Done so much more for the American people. Impeach Justice Alito. Dick Durbin, I hope you're listening. You have the power to at least subpoena him and put pressure. Talk about 100%. The terrorism that the Trump junta uses. Why don't we, with the laws and the legitimate purposes, put some friggin' pressure on these corrupt people with the tools?
But you know the crazy part, Jessica? Just think about it. We don't even have to subpoena him. You just blatantly, you just think about who is right now sitting on the Supreme Court. If this is a man that's capable of doing that, just think about where he's laying. If Thomas's wife Jeannie is running around doing all the January 6th, I mean, let's not pretend. I mean, we're trying. They want us to pretend and say, you know what? There's a mask there. Because he's a Supreme Court judge, he doesn't know what his wife is doing. But Biden, as the vice president, knew everything that Hunter was doing and was involved. I mean, it's just like so sick to watch this and to be able to listen. So, I mean, the most important thing that we could do is get out the vote. And I have a lot of things I'm going to be doing this summer to make sure that all the truth comes out and people are able to make a really good decision and vote against Trump. And that's why I say you don't have to vote for Biden, but vote against Trump. That's the important part. And you might not like Biden, and I don't want to go out there.
Listen, I want to say, Lev, you have to vote for Biden, even if you have issues with him. Look, I have issues with him right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Vote against Trump. You don't have to love Biden, but vote against Trump. The other option is Biden. Yeah. No, of course. That's what I'm saying. Vote Biden. But what I'm saying to you, I'm not telling you to vote for Biden because I want to debate Biden's issues against Trump. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, the economy is better or worse. That's not the issue, because with Trump, it's all false. Trump is a monster. Trump is a dictator. Trump is an authoritarian. Trump is everything bad that you could imagine. That's not a comparison. So what I'm saying to you, this election is not about policies. It's not about Democrats or Republicans. We got to get rid of Trump. And the only way we could get rid of Trump is by voting Joe Biden back into office and clearing house. So absolutely, vote Biden 2024, so 100%. But I wanted to make it clear that even if you don't agree with Biden, even if you think he's too old, even if you don't like how he's dealing with Israel, I hear it. But it's still, you got to vote against Trump. And that's the important part.
You have to. If I can steal a couple more minutes of your time, just because I want to have you here for this context, and thank you so much, Lev, by the way.
Absolutely.
One of the things that came out in the ProPublica piece was about a night that I was crying inconsolably, really feeling like I was at the end. Like I just did not know how I could handle this anymore. And this was in the middle of the last year of the Trump administration. It was 2020. It happened to be, you know what night it happened to be, Lev?
Was it January 6th?
No, it was February 5th, the day that Donald Trump was quote unquote acquitted. And I told this story to the reporter. She didn't tell the whole story in the article, but I happened to be at a small rally driving by, showing support for Mitt Romney. having Trump, and ended up getting a family member who was driving ended up getting pulled over and cited for a ticket that was completely invalid. And at the end of him handing her this traffic ticket, all of which I have on camera, I made a comment about Donald Trump being a criminal from inside of my vehicle. At that point, the officer said, he said, "We're doing something else now. We're doing something else now." He demanded my ID. I thought I was going to get arrested. It didn't ultimately happen, but it was very close to that. And believe me, Lev, I've thought of much worse scenarios that so many people have been through with cops than the one I was in that night. But it hit so close to home for me about the authoritarian threat that Donald Trump was posing, about how he threatened to turn us into a police state, an authoritarian state where you could not speak out against your leaders. And if you did, God forbid you did, you were going to be thrown behind bars. I knew I was living under an illegal $50,000 judgment for speaking out against this man, and I couldn't believe that this was the state of affairs in our country. This man had just been acquitted for trying to extort Ukraine. You had tried to testify. They wouldn't let you. They wouldn't let witnesses come behind. The whole Republican Party stood behind him. And that night, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. And it was one of the darkest nights that I had. The next day, February 6th, 2020.
My birthday.
Your birthday. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's amazing. The next day, that illegal $50,000 judgment was reversed on appeal.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. But you know, Jessica, your story is, and I'm so sad to hear that you went through that, but it's not that he'll turn this country. He's already did it. If you look at parts of this country where people live there are scared to call their local sheriff, their local police department, because of it's all heavy Trump related, and if people know that your voice spoke up against Trump, that's it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, people literally are moving from place to place because it's like we had back in the, before the Civil War, where you had the South and the North. And if you wanted slavery, you moved to the South. And if you tried to go against slavery, you moved to the North. And that's where we're at right now. I mean, if you want abortion, you got to move to a blue state. And if you don't want abortion, you got to move to a red state. I mean, if you want, guns, it's becoming slowly but surely, again, the North against the South. And that's what Trump is putting into everybody's head. It's sick.
Yes, it's very, very, people don't understand how unsafe their personal safety, how much their personal safety will be on the line if Donald Trump, basic freedoms that they take for granted right now are going to go out the window if Donald Trump gets reelected. This could not be more serious. Lev, thank you so much. As always, I love having you here. Please tell your son happy graduation.
Thank you,
Congratulations. We're thinking about him.
Thank you. Absolutely. And definitely we'll be back on because I have some exciting news coming soon. So when I come on, I'll tell your viewers. Stay tuned.
I can't wait to hear.
Some spicy stuff coming up in Trump world. We're not done with them yet.
Oh, no. Far from it. Well, can I put in a plug for your YouTube channel at Lev Remembers?
Oh, please. Thank you, Jessica. Yes. Thank you so much.
It's down there in the description. Definitely everybody subscribe to Lev's YouTube channel where I'm sure he's going to be giving you all kinds of information that you want to have. So
absolutely. Thank you. And have a great day.
You too.
And I'm going to keep my lights on all the time, Jessica. Have a great one.
I love that. Love having you here, Lev. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I want to thank everybody for joining me. Actually, you know what else we should do? We should drop the ProPublica article down into the description too, which we will do. So you can read that article if you haven't yet. It's basically just about the unrelenting terror tactics of Donald Trump against, guess who? Women. Women that, like me, I'll just speak for myself in this respect, were blind and ignorant enough to work for him in the first place. The key here being that Donald Trump doesn't just turn on his enemies, he turns on his own. He is not a victim of free speech. He's the greatest enemy of free speech that this country has ever seen. And if we are doing the right thing, we will look at this case of mine as an omen of how bad it can get. With his authoritarian tactics. God forbid we ever let him get close to power again. I also want to encourage you, please, to check out an interview I did with Professor Lawrence Tribe this week on Samuel Alito. Lev was talking about the recourses we have, but Professor Tribe reiterated these justices serve for good on the Supreme Court under the condition of good behavior. That is their constitutional authority. When they're behaving properly, they have crossed the line in so many respects. We absolutely have to use the tools at our disposal to hold these corrupt justices to account. And he had some very choice words for Chief Justice Roberts as well, which I very much hope is getting out there and people are listening to. As always, if you want to support my legal fund, you can do that at thejessicadenson.com/donate. thejessicadenson.com/donate. One thing that article brought out this week is how many millions of dollars are being poured into the Trump campaign legal coffers to basically terrorize and attack people like me. And we are the David fighting that Goliath and have been for many years. So thank you so much for supporting us there. You can always also support this show for free by subscribing to Lights On with Jessica Denson, wherever you get your audio podcast. And the best way also to follow me and any announcements, many of which are going to be coming soon, maybe a couple changes in the way things are going on with Lights On, so that I can also get my book out and issue these critical warnings before the election. Subscribe to Jessica Denson on Lights On YouTube. Jessica Denson on YouTube. You'll always get the newest content from me there. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for your patience at the top, and let your light shine.